Hi everybody, it's Amanda Ellis of amandaellis.co.uk, Facebook page Angelic Celestial Colours, and I'm making this on February the 1st, 2018. Welcome everybody, welcome to my channel here. Here basically you will find me and also a number of Ascended Master energies that I work with and Archangel energies as well. I'm also a colour therapist, so it varies month to month. This month, February, is going to be quite a busy month, and I'm definitely going to be bringing through some additional videos linked into Mary Magdalene, and I'll talk more about that another time. But I always do a video at the start of the month which looks at the energy of the month ahead, and I channel my main guide for that, which is Archangel Metatron. I have to say that the energy this morning feels fundamentally different from how it did last night. We had the supermoon, the blue moon, the lunar eclipse, the full moon in Leo. My God, I mean, how many tags does something have to it? It was absolutely beautiful, and here in the UK, very unusually, we could see it because it wasn't cloudy and rainy. It was really stunning, beautiful coppery gold colour, and it was still obviously in the sky this morning when I got up, and it looked particularly beautiful this morning actually, set against that very lovely blue indigo sky. So I'm just going to have some water because I've just been out for a walk actually, and it's crikey, it's nearly midday already. This is the thing with when you adopt a new healthy approach to life. Cheers guys, this is water by the way. Which is that you have to find time for it. I really struggle with it some days, I have to say, because I'm sure like many of you, I get up and there's so many things that need to be done actually, and some of them have to be done on that particular day. I've got a mountain of emails, I'm really behind, but it's sort of like, no, you know, this is a year where we really have to look after ourselves and nurture ourselves. We've all heard that so many times before. But February is a month of love, and the greatest gift we can actually do is to give a gift of love to ourselves. So my morning walk was really lovely. I just walked up to the local shops and had a nice cup of coffee on my own, which was quite nice, and enjoyed the sunshine. So I'm feeling quite good today, but last night I actually felt quite low. It doesn't last very long. You know, when you work with an energy like Archangel Metatron, he doesn't let you stay in what I call self-pity mode for very long. You know, you're allowed to experience it, and you know, there were reasons why maybe I felt a little bit low last night, but it's just like he'll just bring you out of it quite quickly. It's like, okay, you can go and have a look at that if you want to, but you know, look at today, it's beautiful, so get back on the horse and ride it. And I feel good today. I'm not going to play you a song, but the music I was listening to just now was, you know, maybe sums up my mood. A bit of Bruno Mars. He's quite perky, isn't he? And Daft Punk. There was a bit of Daft Punk going on. And then I sat down today, and Metatron is also feeling in quite a humorous mood, because I thought, no, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to be doing any smudging or, you know, any meditations today. It's just going to be some cards and me. And straight away I heard the song, and this goes way back, I think, to the 1960s. Me and You and a Dog Named Sue. Do you know that song? Me and You and a Dog Named Sue. It's just like, that's all we need today. So let's have a look at what February is going to be about for all of us. The thing that strikes me about February, which of course happens every year, is it's a really short month, isn't it? It's a really, really short month. 28 days or 29 days. I don't think it's a leap year this year. I might be wrong. I think you only tend to pay attention to leap years if you're, you know, you're single and maybe you're hoping to either propose to somebody or they're going to propose to you. But anyway, it's a very short month. And getting serious for a moment, I think I've never been more aware of the passage of time, of how short our lives are. And that, I don't mean that in a negative way. I actually mean it in a way, hopefully, that is motivating, because that's what I'm taking from some of the life experiences that are going on around me at the moment. I've got a few people, close family members, that are sick, that are old, one who's quite seriously ill still. And whether they get better or not is debatable, to be perfectly honest, but certainly towards the end of their life. And it really brings home to you how short life is. And whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 or 90, it is to be lived. And, you know, it's that old enemy fear that always holds us back from doing what we want to do in life, from being who we want to be. And I just feel this energy of spring in the air today, even though it's not spring. I woke up this morning and there was ice on the cars. We're still in winter here in the UK. I think they're predicting another great icy blast coming in. But I'm feeling this sort of spring-like quality, and it's not just because today's a sunny day. I'm actually feeling, maybe that was the gift of this lunar eclipse. It highlighted some darkness, some emotions that were difficult and that were challenging. But we're in this year of duality, and it's almost like, well, you can choose to stay there if you want to, or you can look at the other side of the coin, and the other side of the coin is the bright sunshine that always follows that darkness. So I've got two decks of cards here in front of me, both of which I don't normally use, to be honest, but I wanted to do something a bit different. I didn't want to do tarot today. So many other people doing tarot all the time. I'm not knocking it, but it's just very out there at the moment. So I'm turning to two decks which aren't well known at all. One is a deck that a friend of mine made called Lisa Bridge. I've used them before. And this is a handmade deck, basically, which have on it a number of stones that she's basically painted. And there is a theme for each one. This one I've just picked up is the twin love stone, and then on the back there are a number of things that might come into that category to look at. So we're going to choose a couple of those in terms of things that might be coming up for us to heal this February. And then I've also got another deck by Shelley Adams, which is called the Sacred Soul Journey. I think that's what they're called. This links into a colour system that I was trained in, colour mirrors. So you sort of have to have an understanding of that to probably make sense of the cards. But she's an artist, Shelley, and so there are some very unusual images on her cards. I'll just show you a couple. You know, they're a bit different. And they tie into numerology and colour. So we're going to do that today. So let's shuffle the cards. Let's call in Archangel Metatron, and let's just take a nice deep breath together. So we're going to just breathe in some light, and then we're going to let go of any resistance, any block that we have. So let's just breathe in light and breathe out any resistance. Breathing in light, breathing out any resistance. And then one more time, breathing in light, breathing out any resistance. Asking for some messages for February 2018. I'm going to take the first three cards. And what's interesting is the first card that's come up is card number 15. And card number 15 is linked to a colour energy which is lime green, and it's actually one that I've got over here. Let me go and grab it. Okay, this is number 15. Okay, 15 lime green goes with this beautiful image. Okay, and 15 is the energy of the divine feminine. But it's come in upside down, i.e. in a slightly challenged position. Next to card number 22, number 22 is more of a red energy, And 22 is about the need for forgiveness of something or someone. Right next to the energy of number 8. And number 8 links to the planet Saturn and the wise teacher that pulls the reins in a little bit so that we don't run before we can walk. On the bottom of the pack is card number 35. And 35 links into an energy of inner peace. Let's just have one more for the top. Let's take one more from the top. And now we've got the energy of 31, which is again in a challenged position. 31 is the energy of the Hermit. So we have 2 cards that are in a reversed position here. Okay, I'll just show you the colours and then I'm going to pull back. Just as you can see, they're energy cards, so they're very much, they're not your typical tarot cards, they're more about the colour energy. Okay, so we have the Magician, the Divine Feminine in reverse, and we also have the Hermit in reverse. What strikes me about those 2 energies is that both of them, this is 31, both of them are a green energy. So you've got green in reverse, and certainly in the UK, our traffic lights are red, amber and green. Red for stop, amber for get ready, green for go. So we've got 2 energies here which are highlighting go, but it's almost as though it's go and then there's a barrier. For some reason, there's something preventing that forward motion. And I suspect it lies in the energy of Saturn, number 8. And what's coming through is I'm hearing that whatever it is that you are wanting the green light on, whatever you are wanting to press go on in your life, and that could be applied to anything, it's not that we're being told, no, you can't, or you're wrong, or it's not going to happen, or you can't do it. It's more the fact that we have the Saturn energy here. I'm not talking astrologically here, I'm talking about the cards and colours. And the Saturn energy, which is a violet energy, is very much linked into, as I've just said, not running before you can walk, needing to have some perseverance, some patience. I hate having patience. It's one of my life lessons, to not run before I can walk, okay? But I'm learning it, and I'm feeling we all are having to learn that lesson at the moment. Giving an analogy, in my working life at the moment, I'm not yet able to open up to any individual private sessions. I thought I was going to have time in February. I haven't got the time. I can't do them at the moment with everything else on that I've got on my plate professionally. I want to finish off what I have already started before I then open up the space to do that, okay? So you can take that analogy into your own life. You can take the analogy I just used about exercise and finding time. We have to pace ourselves, I'm hearing, okay? So it's not that we're being thwarted. It's not that Spirit wants you to feel that you've made a mistake, you're at a dead end, you can't do it. It's the fact that Spirit and Metatron want you to plan, want you to prioritise, want you to pace yourself, want you also to wait for divine timing in some instances. I'm feeling that for many of you, there are lots of things going on behind the scenes that you can't see at the moment, which often are very fortuitous, very good. I feel that some of us are being talked about behind our back, but I'm meaning again that in a good way. Your name might be being heard in different circles. Maybe you're looking for a job and people are talking about you. They're shuffling through your CV, they're looking at you, but they're just pausing before they actually get in touch with you. Or it may be even in terms of relationships as well. It might not necessarily be that your name is being discussed by somebody else, but it may just be an energetic shuffling of papers, shuffling through of things, I'm seeing that there are some new romantic partners wanting to come forward that haven't yet come forward into your life, but it's as though Spirit is putting the wheels in motion for that to arrive at a later date this year. And by a later date this year, I'm really talking about the springtime months. And I'm talking about springtime in terms of the Northern Hemisphere's timing, which is really only a few months away. Although, as we know, we're in this sort of crazy weather pattern where we have spring bulbs coming up, but it's actually not really spring yet. We're still in midwinter. The analogy of spring bulbs coming up is also important, Metatron is saying, because what happens with spring bulbs, I've got them happening in my garden at the moment and on a little roundabout that I walk near the park. All these beautiful little crocuses are just coming through. And what tends to happen in the UK is that they come through and then they will be covered by snow in a couple of weeks' time. Just when you think spring's coming, even though it's early, you then get a great big dollop of winter. And what happens to what happens to those little shoots that were just coming up that needed sunshine and rain? They didn't need snow or ice on top of them. So we really have to protect these little shoots, these little new beginnings, these things that we want to be given the big green light to. They need to be very tended at the moment. I'm seeing almost like, again, taking the analogy of the bulbs, it's almost like they need to be brought inside. They need to be protected a little bit. They need to be covered over. You don't go away and just forget about them. You need to watch them, make sure they're okay. So I just find it interesting that we've got all this green energy, but it's still in a holding pattern for some reason. I'm also thinking, as well as that Saturn energy, which is also a teaching energy, it's not just that we're being held back, it's that there's something to learn from this month. I almost felt this morning when I knew I was going to make the February video, and I felt Metatron talking about, remember to say it's a short month, which I know sounds silly, but he was wanting to draw attention to the fact that this is a month where we haven't got as many days. You know, it's like the time is precious. February's time is precious because he's saying each month of the year has its own flavour, has its own scent, has its own energy, has its own flavour. And I'm looking actually for a book, and it's here on the floor. And it's interesting because I've never bought this book before, but this year, at the start of the year, I wanted to buy this. Well, actually, I bought it for somebody for Christmas, but then I decided not to give it to them. I decided to keep it for myself because it was too good. Now, that sounds horrible, doesn't it? I just wanted to keep it for myself. The other person still got a nice present. Look, it's this. It's the Almanac. It's a seasonal guide to 2018 by India Knight. Now, this one is obviously particularly aimed at people in the Northern Hemisphere. But let's just see what it says about February, because this is the whole part. It's almost like we're already at February and there's a whole chapter I haven't bothered to read. There were things that were relevant to January that I didn't open my eyes to actually look at. I didn't notice all of what was going on around me. I had a productive month, but what was happening with the seasons? What was happening? What did I miss, actually? Let's just look. What did we miss? So, as an example, 12th night, Punjabi Midwinter Festival, Burns Night. There was also the Jewish New Year of the Trees, which was the 31st. It then goes through all the different moon phases. It goes through the constellation of the month, which was Orion, for January. It goes through what's going on with weather patterns, with the sea, with the garden, what you should be doing in the kitchen, what were the things that were particularly in season that would have been nice to have included. As an example, it was Seville oranges, just so you know. You know, what I'm trying to get across is that Metatron is saying, open your eyes to each month's gifts. I think that's why I'm feeling excited this morning. It's like each month, Metatron is saying, is a gift, is a present to be opened. And maybe it's particularly poignant for me right now because I'm seeing people who are near the end of their life. And it's as though when that happens, of course, people withdraw. They withdraw into their own insular world, and they don't notice really what's going on, you know, outside the window, whether it's raining, whether it's sunny. They go very, very insular. But for us that are alive and are wanting to embrace what this life has to offer, let's look at each month as a real gift to be opened and savoured. So as an example, on the February the 1st, it's unblock, a pagan celebration. Think the 1st also links to St. Bridget, who was a Celtic goddess figure. The 2nd is Candlemas. We've got Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Day on the 13th. Start of Lent. We've got Valentine's Day on the 14th. Don't we always know about that one? We've got the Chinese New Year, which begins on the 16th, and it's the year of the Earth Dog, apparently. Let's just have a look at the constellations and what they're doing. So the constellation of this month is the Canis Major, and which is called the Great Dog. It says, follow the line of Orion's belt from the furthest right star to the furthest left star and then beyond, and you will reach Sirius, the dog star, the brightest star in the sky. It lies in the constellation of Canis Major, the Great Dog, and is a major constellation in the southern hemisphere. But from December to March, it can be seen in the northern hemisphere. We've got a little map here, okay, of the constellation for those of you that are interested. And we've also got Sirius. And interesting, because I was thinking about Sirius this morning. I watched somebody else the last couple of days who were talking about the Pleiadians and channeling the Pleiadians. It's not my energy because it's not what I link to. I've said before on previous videos that I linked very much to the Sirius energy, and I was thinking, wouldn't that be interesting to maybe try and do a bit of work on that at some point? Anyway, you know, you'll have a book similar to that. There's so much to be gleaned from each month. So maybe we do need to pause before just leaping ahead each new month. Maybe that's why we've got the stop to this green. The other thing that I'm thinking with all this green energy around, I can't help but thinking as well, it's linked into the heart's energy. And if you think about card number 15, which is the divine feminine in reverse position, slight challenge. I don't even want to say slight challenge, I just want to say pause, a place to stop before we really bring her in, even more than we ever have done. And wonderful that this is the month I'm bringing through the Mary Magdalene spray and the energies for that. But we're meant to pause, we're meant to reflect before she really comes forth in all her glory. But there is something going on with our hearts. Let's just see what Metatron has to say about our heart energy. Why is that showing so strongly? I think I'll just spray the emerald green and see what comes through with this. So he's talking about our heart and our heart's desire and our heart's wishes. And he's wanting us just to take a little check, just to do a little rain check on whether our heart's desires and our heart's wishes for this year are in alignment with the highest vision of where we should be going. Also, are they in alignment with the ascension of the earth? I'm feeling that very strongly. And our own ascension path. I'll give you an example of that, because I'm feeling there's a link between what our heart wants, but also what is good for Mother Earth. Doesn't mean we've all suddenly got to become eco-warriors, okay? But it does mean that we need to consider the earth in what we are doing. As an example, just before I started to make this video, I just literally just flicked on my phone and there was just a news story that came up, and it was about the founder of IKEA who died over the last couple of days. Don't actually have his name, I'll see if I can find it. But he died and he was worth billions. Billions of pounds. Let me just, out of respect, see what his name was. IKEA founder. Okay, he was called Ingvar Kamprad. Founder of IKEA, who struggled to shake off the Nazi skeletons in the cupboard, is an article in yesterday's Independent, which is a UK newspaper. The billionaire, who was known for living frugally, transformed the way the world shops by innovating affordable flatback furniture in the 1950s. But it mentioned, obviously, there's a history here linked into the war. And I guess he was scarred, or his family was scarred from the war. It's a long article. I probably haven't got time. Oh, crikey. Okay, I've got it here. It was not merely that Kamprad's father and grandmother were avowed Mein Kampf reading Hitler worshippers. Ingvar himself had for almost 2 decades in the 1940s been a supporter of the 2 Swedish Nazi movements. As a teenager, he became involved with a fascist group. Okay, so it feels as though he then became ashamed of his past. It says Kamprad described his actions as a youth sickness and sent an emotional letter of apology to every IKEA employee for my latest fiasco. Almost immediately, as if in contrition, IKEA announced plans to build a store in Israel, although this did not fully open until 2001. Goes on to talk about his regrets a lot in life. Okay, I didn't know that about him, but it's interesting. I've just seen that. So we had the card of forgiveness in this reading, right in the centre, card number 22. So here's a man who built up billions and who, I know it's only flat pack furniture, but at the end of the day, tables and chairs are important, beds are important, homes are important. If you're a young person, or not even just a young person, if you're somebody and you haven't got a lot of money and you can't afford a £500 bed or £1,000 bed, I mean, these items are expensive. You know, there's a lot of expenditure in our world. So a man who created something which was affordable for people, items that were basically needed, I think is to be applauded. But feels like he never got over his past. He never felt that he'd atoned maybe for those actions, but also I'm hearing the sins of the fathers were upon his head as well. So we have the card of forgiveness here. But you know, that wasn't why I brought his name up, although he's brought it back, us talking about forgiveness, which is really important. Why I wanted to mention him was that he died a billionaire, but I don't believe he left his money to anything or anybody. That was the headline I saw this morning. So what came to me when I saw that was, yeah, I understand why he did that, because he didn't place any value on money. A billionaire who didn't place any value on money, who lived a frugal existence, who I believe he used to shop in charity shops for his clothes, versus some of these other people that we have on our world stage at the moment who are quite frankly ridiculous. I won't name names, but you know, I do get angry actually, because I'm bringing up teenagers, and some of these people they really look up to, and it's like I just have to let it go, because they have their own consciousness and their own path, but I struggle with it a little bit. So slight detour though, but probably not actually, because we've brought in 2 important energies here. The energy of forgiveness. What are you trying to maybe atone for? Maybe there's something in your past that you've done. that needs to be healed with love. And at the end of the day, the energy of February is all about love. We can't get away from Valentine's Day. It's like this great big energy in the middle of February. And you know, that is interesting though. So I'm saying we can't get away from it, but that's because I'm coming at it from a perspective of a woman. I'm a bit jaded with it, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, I wish I wasn't, in a way. I didn't used to be. I am a bit now. But I've certainly been a woman in the past, like many of you watching, where you build up far too much hopes for Valentine's Day. You know, I'm going back to when I was in my 20s. I've said all this before, you know, the women on the train, the tube train with the great big huge bunches of flowers, and you're sitting there with nothing, and it makes you feel a bit worthless. But of course it's rubbish, because you don't place your worthiness in terms of what somebody else thinks anyway. It all comes from within. I know that now. But the youngsters are getting it. I was amazed. I was out with my teenager the other day, and there were some Valentine's things, and I just jokingly said, I like winding her up a bit, and I said, oh, you know, you're going to get some Valentines from somebody this year, Lucy. And she just shrugged, and I said, oh, well, would you like to buy something for somebody? And she said, no. She said, I'm not into it. And I said, well, what about your friends? And she said, no. She said, no, we're not bothered by that, Mum. And I thought, hallelujah, hallelujah, you know, because it felt like there had been a shift. It felt like she had appreciated the commercial aspect of it, that who needs some crappy card at the end of the day if it's not given with the right intention. I want to talk a lot more about that, but I think I'll leave that for another video, because it comes into the Mary Magdalene energy of love and real love and divine love, and, you know, a bit like what I was talking about on my Twin Flames video. Let's get back to February. So February, as well as green lights, there's something we're being asked to pause, we're being asked to reflect. Forgiveness. Who do you most need to forgive? Is there something that you're carrying on your own shoulders that equally does not belong to you, that might be the sins of the father? This is a great month for just purifying all of that and asking for it to be released. Asking Archangel Metatron, Archangel Zadkiel, Archangel Michael just to take it away, okay? But before they do that, of course, if it's something that you have actually done, it's like, what have you learned from it? Okay, what have you learned from it? Let's pull one more card. They're quite interesting, these. Let's pull one more, and then we've got our magic 7. Seventh energy for February. Number 3. 2 images of owls, okay? One sitting here, one sitting, not sitting, one flying. I've also got an owl behind me up there. Can you see? There we go. So I'm surrounded by owls. So what does that mean? We're surrounded by wisdom. Owls stand for wisdom. They also stand for not being frightened of the dark, you know? They're quite mysterious as well, aren't they? You know, I think most people, when they see an owl, they're quite in awe of it. It's a beautiful sight. They almost don't belong to this world. I mean, I know they do, but there's something about them that is sort of special, different. So I feel there's a message coming through with these owls as well here for us, which is that in February, start to really recognise how special you are, how different you are as well, and how that is to be celebrated. To not try and clone yourself into somebody else, to not just become a reflection of somebody else, to be your own true person. And you do that by listening back into your heart. Number 3 also links into the planet Jupiter. And so it is interesting, you know, it is a bit of a game. I hate to say it, it's a bit of a push-pull month, because Saturn is almost like saying stop, pause. And then we've got 2 other green energies, which are all about pause. And then we've got this one, 3, Jupiter, which is saying expand, fly. Stop, start, stop, start. Which makes sense why we've got card number 35. Card number 35 is the card of inner peace. Needing to find that this February. I do think that, particularly with regard to business and work, there are things that are going to be very stop, start, stop, start. But what you have to bear in mind is you just have to keep your focus on the end goal, on the destination that you're trying to reach, okay? It doesn't actually matter if you stop temporarily and pause. It can be very beneficial to do so, as long as you don't then just get into massive inertia and not move forward when the time is right. Let's pull one of these other cards. Let's see what's coming up for healing in February. What's the February wound? What's the February wound that's coming up to be healed, Archangel Metatron? What's the February wound? Sorry, my camera ran out of space. Okay, I was asking what was the February wound. Clearance. It says clearing. Sorry, let me just show you this. Clearing stone. It says, I am free from all that binds. And then on the back, we've got a few different things to work through underneath that main banner heading. And they are these. Reclaiming the joy. That's what I felt this morning. That's what I still feel. I feel quite joyful. I feel quite playful. And it's like, hooray, thank God, you know? Reclaim that joy. Learning to love yourself. Life lesson, I know, but these are themes for this month. Learning to love yourself. Reclaiming your joy. Being free from addiction. Healing your inner child. And tie cutting and energy clearing. So tie cutting and energy clearing comes into anything that's preventing you from feeling joyful, from being able to love yourself. I'm hearing that is in relation to certain people. I'm being drawn to the inner child here. People that have been abused as well, needing to cut ties physically from people. I don't just mean energetic ties here. I mean physically, maybe actually moving away from people who have hurt you, who have abused you, who haven't been there for you. I'm hearing that very strongly. That's only for a certain number of people watching this, but it applies to a few of you, I hear. You need to actually remove these people from your life by distancing yourself from them. You don't need them to be popping in or feeling somehow guilty that you have to keep in contact with them. If they've betrayed you, if they've abused you, if they've hurt you as a child, and you've tried everything, you know, but forgiveness, of course, comes in as well. But I'm feeling for some people, the most extreme forms of being hurt or abused as a child, you actually need a completely clean sheet somewhere else, okay? For the rest of us, healing the inner child feels as though it's linked into learning to love ourselves. And we're going to be asked to do that this February. Let's have one more that goes with that. So February is also a month of clearance. And a month of freedom. Well, there were two that came out. I'll take both of them. A month of freedom, the Freedom Stone, celebrating strength, freedom and passion. desiring to break free, wanting adventure, having energy, being passionate, being joyful. We've got that word joyful again. The next card that comes in, I hate the word crone. If anyone ever calls me a crone, you're out of here. We need a better word for us older women. We're not crones. God's sake, who came up with that? Anyway, don't need to answer that. I'm not being rude. I know it's a shamanic term and some people probably like it, but I don't. But it links into this. Okay, I'm holding up the feminine wisdom bottle again because on the back we've got goddess, the goddess energy. Okay, looking at the energies of the goddess, masculine and feminine balancing. It also talks about cycles. I was talking about cycles and, you know, respecting each month of the year. That almost feels like a whole other video in itself. It feels like that's what's coming up next because I want to talk about all that goddess type energy with the Mary Magdalene. So I'm going to just park that for the moment. But it's there just because it's in February, which is when we're going to be doing the work. But I feel more than anything, there is this energy coming through here about the need for a bit of fun, actually. The need for a bit of fun. The need for a bit of play. How good are you at doing that? I'm not very good at doing it, I have to be honest. And it usually links back to your inner child. Were you given permission to play as a child? Or were you one of that generation that grew up being told to sit in the corner and be quiet? To be a good girl, to be a good boy. Go and read a book. And what do we do to our children in this generation? If you think it's any better, it's not, it's worse, I think. What we do is we buy them a tablet or a phone. And then they just sit and they look at their screens. And if we're truthful as parents, sometimes we're really relieved because we can get on with our jobs. It's terrible. Where's the play? Where's the fun? It needs to come back. And only you can bring it back, Metatron is saying. Only you can bring it back, you and your inner child. But as we've said, you've got to make space for it. You've got to prioritise it. Yeah, another green energy, number 5. I haven't got, oh, I have got number 5. This is number 5. Look, all these, sorry, throwing bottles around at you, but look, 3 green energies. All of that green energy. Let's go back to the emerald again. There's a message here coming through with 5 for people who are writers, people who are articulate, to express themselves, for that playful voice to be expressed, that creative voice to be expressed, that childlike voice to be expressed. Do you know one of the probably the easiest ways just to allow your inner child to have some fun is, as well as the obvious things like, I don't know, whatever your thing is, going for a swim or going on a fairground ride or whatever. It doesn't have to be that. For me, it's like, get one of your favourite children's books out and read it. What was it? What was the book that used to really capture your imagination? Or maybe there's a new book in town. You know, in the UK, I don't know whether he's popular all over the world, but David Walliams has just taken the children's book market by storm. He's always number 1. You know, he's like a modern Roald Dahl because he takes these characters and he just uses his imagination and he has fun with it. Gangster Granny. That's one of his, I think. I haven't read his books, but maybe I should go and get one. Or get Roald Dahl, or get Enid Blyton, or get any of them. Harry Potter, whatever. Allow your inner child to roam, whether physically or whether in your own mind. Okay, so I have a final message from Archangel Metatron, and let's bring it through with one of the new children's sprays that are going to be coming through. Okay, I'm not going to show you the bottle because this isn't the bottle it's going to be in, and it doesn't have its sticker yet, but this is one that's just about putting us in our power. So let's just see Archangel Metatron message for us for February. Be like those green shoots that you can see just coming through the earth. How resilient they are. How big the bulb is underneath, which has caused the shoot to be able to pierce through the surface of the hard soil and to be exposed to the elements that are harsh and bitter. And yet that young shoot persists, and doesn't just persist, shows its colour, its glory and its potential. You too have that energy and that ability within you. The green shoot also knows that it needs to preserve itself. It needs some form of protection around it as well through this delicate phase of development. But even though it's delicate, feel the strength inside of it and do not be deceived. So we're like those beautiful green shoots that are just coming out of nowhere, bursting through the soil, showing their colour with all the potential within us. And they will shoot even more. They will grow. The green energy is not going to be thwarted. It's not going to go anywhere. But it's just a time to just... It's almost a time to be respectful of your time and the process that you are going through right now. Okay. I think that's probably it for this video. I'm just going to go now back to my almanac and see if there's one other pithy little fact I can give you for February. Okay, so February. This is obviously Northern Hemisphere, as I've said, but as an idea, it's asking you to sow some chilies. They're all about heat and fire and passion, aren't they? The vegetable or fruit of the month here is rhubarb. I love this book. And then it's got recipes for pancakes. Lovely. Nature, look out for snowdrops. Listen out for missel and song thrushes singing for territories. It's lovely. Just look around you. Open up that beautiful gift that February brings and enjoy it. Life's to be enjoyed. Much love. I'll be back soon with some Mary Magdalene videos. Bye.